So this may be a reach, but it was just something that was on my mind when I was talking to a friend. Oh boy, the sun is heavy today. One of the things that I noticed about music, it's very profound and telling of the time, and you can find some spiritual connections to it. So there's this one particular song that I have no idea why it keeps popping up everywhere I go. And in this song, people have made TikToks and little skits and shorts out of it where it says, "Twin, where have you been? Nobody knows me like you do." And in the moment that I was talking to someone who was having some issues with their spouse, and with their spouse, it was just like, I saw God taking the one spouse to this level, and you could see the light that's in them and everyone drawn to it. And then in a moment, as God is moving in this spouse and really taking the spouse to another level, and what they're doing, and the spouse is surrendering to God, one of the things that I notice is the other spouse begins to rage, begins to make passive aggressive comments, and begin to pick fights. And in the moment as this person's talking, I'm like, I hear the song again, "Twin, where have you been? Nobody." And then think about it. If you've been with someone who's been trauma bonding with you, and then you begin to go into a path of healing, and then you begin to really surrender to God that pain, and you begin to let him into those areas of your life, guess what that trauma is doing? Your trauma twin is doing. Twin, where have you been? And that trauma doesn't like the light at all. So when you have trauma bonded with someone and you begin to go to the path of healing, and it's both ways around in a marriage, what happens is they begin to poke to try to find things. Again, those that have come from dysfunctional families, toxic homes, this is what you know. And so you begin to say, "Twin, where have you been? Trauma twin, where have you been? Nobody knows me like you do. You can't expose the darkness of my pain to the light." And so if people are drawn to the light of God in you, then that means it exposed the darkness of my pain. And nah, you can't do that. Yeah, you know when I'm lying. Yeah, you know I'm going to throw the word divorce out there. Yeah, you know I'm going to throw all of your ugly past so you can come back into this dark place with me. So I'm going to talk about who you used to sleep with. I'm going to talk about your body count. I'm going to talk about how your mama and daddy didn't love you. I'm going to talk about all of those nasty things to get you to come back. Twin, where you been? It's time to cut that Siamese twin of trauma that you share with the other one. That's why people keep saying, I didn't even know I was unequally yoked. I ain't find him here, especially those that are Christian. You might not have found that man in the world, but he was still of the world. He was still walking in fear. He was still walking in pain. He was still walking in darkness. And you didn't know it because his dark, y'all found each other in the dark. He wasn't ready to come out. And I said all of that for you to pray for your spouse. When they start throwing those jabs. Because it's like, why? What happened? Especially when it's around jealousy. Look, before you go back and start cutting up and cutting back up with them and fighting with them, I'm a witness to this. Pray. Separate, not divorce, not saying even separate like a legal separation, just saying go to another room. Go to another area of the house, go into the car and begin to pray. And pray for them. Because this is very, very hard to come out of a toxic place when that's all you've ever known. And though you love God, can you trust that He can really help you with this pain? Don't worry about how you're going to look. because that pain is exposed. That dark place is exposed. Because God can't do anything while you stay in the dark. Let him expose it with your light. Look at that. So I just encourage couples, married people, that just came to my mind. Be very careful about what you and your spouse are twinning, especially if you're a best friend. And yes, nobody knows you like you do, but there's one that knows you, and he's known you before you were born, and he's known every hair on your head. He's the one that will help you in your marriage, in your relationship, and help you heal from that pain, that trauma, and gut out that toxicity that you grew up with that was normal to you, but it was actually dysfunctional. Peace and blessings with you all.